Welcome back, everyone. Today we will be discussing the Dunklow University Blues. Specifically, we will be discussing some release info, how to cop, and of course, as usual, some resale predictions at the end of the video. The Dunklow University Blue releases on June 24th in the US, and they have already released on June 4th in Europe. Retail is $100. Stock between all sizes combined worldwide is over 45,000 pairs. This is actually pretty high for a dunk, but it is what we have been seeing for the most recent releases. Nike is gradually increasing the production on all of the colorways to capitalize off the hype, which is also reflected in the larger amounts of stock that corporate is now receiving more consistently. But regarding resale for these in specific, we will cover that towards the end of the video as always, and I'll just let you know now it's looking great. With the release info out of the way though, let's jump into how to cop these Dunklow University Blues. Specifically for this how to cop, we'll be going in chronological order along with exactly how to efficiently manage your time and set up for this drop, since a lot is going to be going on at once. Prior to discussing the first come first serve online drops though, make sure to follow my Twitter KeithAdam10 and personals for you for any urgent updates on these or any hype sneakers in general. Also, as promised, I was going to keep you guys updated still with the progress of Gargantua AIO. Well, after dominating the current sites we do support, we're going to be unlocking another site sometime next week, so stick around, follow the Twitter page for more updates and beta keys in the near future. Also, please make sure that you guys do not forget to sign up for the Flex app reservations. This is definitely one of the best ways to get pairs, although for dunks they are not at every single location, unfortunately, since they are rather limited still. Make sure you do check if they are at your specific locations, because evidently that is going to give you guys a good chance of copying. But now, moving on to the online first come first serve releases, since Europe already did drop, we'll only be discussing the US sites. You'll notice that the dunk site list is now looking more and more like the Jordan list that we normally do, since corporate is now consistently receiving more pairs. At 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we may potentially see Undefeated drop. Unlike Jordans and Yeezys, I say potentially, since dunk first come first serve releases are a little less common when it comes to Undefeated rather than Jordans and Yeezys. There's nothing else going on at this time, 8 a.m. anyway, so I'd still suggest being prepared just for safety. Before this time though, make sure you are signed into your Undefeated account, as it is required to check out. But now, moving on to the confirmed 10 a.m. Eastern Time drops, this is where it gets hectic. Since there's a lot to focus on, I'm going to guide you and suggest to you how to efficiently manage your time like usual. First, I would suggest going for Hibbett, as I usually do recommend. For everyone who has been asking about the press and hold loop, this is unfortunately the result of the Perimeter X bot protection. I briefly touch on this in many of my recent how to cop videos, so a lot of you guys should already be familiar with this, but for those of you who happen to be new here, essentially in order to avoid this loop, rather than refreshing the product page, visit the coming soon page under launches and click the product page from there several seconds before 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This will reduce your chances of getting that press and hold loop rather than visiting the direct link from my Twitter, for example. Try to time it to the best of your abilities. Another tip from the last drop, after you solve the first press and hold, it's going to be very tempting to scroll down very quickly to select your size. However, I did notice that if you scroll very slowly rather than quickly, there is a significantly lower chance of getting that press and hold loop, so my suggestion would definitely be to take your time when scrolling down. What is also really important here is that you should also try to generate some activity on the website beforehand, just to emulate normal human behavior. My biggest advice when going for Hibbett is definitely overall, as I always say, to use Apple Pay on your mobile device for the most efficient checkout. Or as an alternative to Hibbett, we do have some more Shopify first come first serve releases, as we normally do for Jordan releases too. Again, this is going to be quite similar to the prior video. So despite the high $27 shipping on Shop Nice, Kicks, and Shoe Palace, the great margin on these specifically should still leave you more than sufficient room to profit. Hence, those are actually worth considering this time, even though I sometimes advise against going for those two sites for lunch money items, since the shipping would hypothetically kill the margin on those cases. Now, if you do go for either of those sites, remember that they do load the variants beforehand, and in fact, Jimmy Jazz has also been doing this sometimes too. Right-click on the product page, click on View Page Source, then search for the term variant with Control F or Command F on Mac, then copy and paste the size variant you want. You may have to scroll to the right pretty far to find your desired one, then copy and paste it into this format: domain/cart/variant /1. Then you can make a bookmark out of this link format, this specific link format, not the out of stock link that you'll get when you click enter. And then just click this bookmark about a minute or less from the drop. If you time it perfectly, you may be able to pass the early queue right as the drop goes live, allowing for a smooth checkout. Keep in mind it is Shopify, so it'll be heavily botted. Pick your poison. None of these sites will be easy anyway. Also, just a note for Shoe Palace, they do tend to sometimes go live 2 minutes early, so it might be worth trying at 57. This way you're still able to go for other 10 a.m. Eastern time drops and still go for Shoe Palace if they do drop early. You can also try DTLR, I guess, but you won't have a way to make early add to cart links. The only benefit here is that they do normally receive pretty decent stock. Kith might actually be worth considering again, even though recently I've been advising against it, since recently they did patch their HCAPTCHA exploit that a lot of bots have been taking advantage of. Now that patch has been working quite well. A lot of bots are still struggling with it, so be prepared to most likely draw a box around a cat or plane. Quick tip when doing this specific form of an HCAPTCHA, try to draw the square very slowly rather than rushing. I know it's tempting to rush it, just like scrolling down on Hibbit to get to the sizes, but when it comes to a lot of these protections, you'll actually want to take your time with it, as that does further illustrate that you are a human rather than a bot making automatic requests. In conclusion, your 10 a.m. first come first serve focus should either be on Hibbit, or if you can multitask with desktop, maybe try one Shopify site, as I did mention. Either try the early add to cart link on Shoe Palace, Shop Nice, Kicks, or Jimmy Jazz, or even try your luck on Kith because of that new HCAPTCHA, especially if your group does provide you with Kith early links. Now, right after those first come first serve drops are over, or even while you're waiting in the Shopify queue, I want you guys to enter in as many sneakers accounts into the drop as possible until around 10:10 a.m. Eastern time. This is how it's been lately. They've been doing draws for the majority of recent hyped releases, even though a while back they actually been doing Leos consistently. Now it's back to Dan releases draw. Essentially, this just means that you have 10 minutes to enter in as many accounts into the raffle as possible. Evidently, the more you can enter within that period, the better your chances will be. I actually made a full in-depth video, which I'd highly suggest watching because there is more to it. If you guys need to make more accounts, remember that Nike does require SMS verification, so you can't use the same phone number twice. You will have to ask a friend of yours to use their phone number and ask them for the verification code. However, if you rather not bother your friends, or you just want a significant amount of pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts in general, feel free to check out my site TARS. The link for that is in the description below for pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Now after sneakers, it'll be 10:10 a.m. Eastern time. At this point, you'll want to shift your focus onto foot sites and periodically checking the finish line and JD Sports queues on the app specifically, as they are going to be loaded there rather than the website on this drop. Snipes, unfortunately, has not loaded them yet, although I do suspect they might. If they do, I will tweet them out as usual on my site list. The key to copying on foot sites, which is going to be only Foot Locker, Champs, and Kids Foot Locker for this specific drop, is persistency, not exactly speed. However, as of the last half a year or so, as I've been mentioning, unfortunately, due to the replacement of Akamai with Datadome, it has been near impossible to cop manually. That's just how it's been, unfortunately. But that will conclude it for the how to cop portion of this video. Now regarding the resale predictions, as mentioned earlier, stock for these is relatively high for a dunk. However, for a sneaker in general, over 45k is still low stock. So there certainly still isn't anything to concern about in regards to the stock. These definitely are not mass produced compared to a lot of Jordans or Yeezys that we've seen recently. More importantly though, the demand on these is beyond insane, as expected for a University Blue colorway as usual on a desirable silhouette, in this case the beloved Dunklow. This immense demand is clearly reflected through the consistently high and frequent bids, which are extremely stable at the moment, in addition to the truly insane sale volume. You can even see on the screen right now, just from one day alone, how much there was, and this is more than we've seen released with even higher stock than this. Granted, Europe pairs are already in circulation, impacting that, but this is still extremely high for over 2 days out from the release, given that on a sneaker with stock this low still. This leads me to no other conclusion. These will certainly be very profitable with a great margin. As for grade school sizes, I also do feel that those will be profitable with a great margin as well. Now, I can't say the same for toddler and preschool sizes, unfortunately, but I don't doubt that you can make a small amount of lunch money if you are a patient seller, just that those can sometimes take quite a while to flip. Overall, though, this is an incredible drop. Full throttle on the men in grade school, at least, without a doubt. Anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications just so you stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with the progress or free beta key drops. And last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for you so you guys stay updated on all the urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on the drop.